What's going on, everybody? Welcome to After Prison Show, and in this video we're going to talk about the difference between a low-level prison and a max, or as it's oftentimes referred to as a major. Now, it certainly goes without saying that what you're going to find at a low-level prison is going to be a hell of a lot different than what you're going to be finding at a major. And all of this will vary from state to state, how they categorize the difference between a low level and a high level. Here in the state of Virginia, we've got levels 1 through 5. 1 being the absolute lowest, 5 being max. Now, to go ahead and fill in the in-betweens, level 2s and 3s, those are going to be your mediums, and levels 4 and 5, those are going to be your maxes. Those are going to be where the baddest of the bad are at, guys with the worst charges, the most amount of time, and in all likelihood, guys who are never coming home. Now, when you first get to prison, you go to a classification prison, and it's there where they assess your record, your crimes, your amount of time, your age, your education, and it's all of these things that play into where exactly you're going to be getting sent from that classification receiving unit. And though I personally spent most of the time that I spent incarcerated either at a level 1 or mostly at a level 2, let me most certainly assure you that that little classification receiving prison that I was first sent to, that place there is pretty much ran like a maximum security prison. Because while there, you're going to have prisoners who are classification level 1 through 5. Guys who ain't got but 6 months, 6 weeks, 6 days left of their sentence, mixed right in with guys who've got 60 years, 600 years, or 6 life sentences. And I'm not really sure there's a difference between 600 years and 6 life sentences. In either case, you're never coming home. But it's with all that I've mentioned thus far that let's go ahead and get into some major differences between these low-level prisons and these maximum security institutions. The very first major difference between these low levels and these highs definitely has to do with how prisoners are housed inside of those prisons. And it usually goes a lot like this. At your lower level prisons, your 1s and your 2s, you're going to be in a housing unit, an open dorm type of setting. And in these open dorm type of settings, you're going to have a lot of prisoners who are housed in there together. Sometimes upwards of 100 plus prisoners per housing unit. Now, at your higher level institutions, your 3s, your 4s, and definitely your 5s, there is very rarely, if at all, going to be any type of open dorm housing unit type of housing of prisoners. Instead, it's going to be cell blocks. Prisoners are going to be housed either 1 or 2 inside of a cell. Now, with the fact that it is so different how prisoners are housed at high-level institutions versus at lower levels, being in cells versus being in open dorms, some of these guys who have served extensive amounts of time at these higher institutions and have worked their level down somewhat because of good behavior and not getting in any trouble, and then these prisoners end up at these level 2s where it's open dorm type settings. I have definitely seen prisoners go absolutely crazy because for so long they've been kept inside of a cell with maybe 1 other person in a cell block, and then all of a sudden they're shipped to these level 2s and put in these open dorm environments with 100 plus prisoners, and these guys cannot take being around all of these people at one time. I've seen some of these guys buck and get to fighting immediately just so they can run their level back up, something they probably worked so hard to get worked down, and get shipped right back to where they came from. And I can certainly attest to the fact that serving time in an open dorm environment, especially being surrounded by so many other people, that is not an easy thing to do at all. And you want to talk about some anxiety and also stressful situations? Being inside of an open dorm in a prison most certainly is going to give you both of those. And just with the difference in how prisoners are housed at these high levels versus these lows, that there is enough for a lot of prisoners to never want to work their level down because they're not trying to be in an open dorm. At least having a cell and sharing that with somebody, you're going to have a little bit of privacy with that. But go ahead and compare that to these lower level prisons, you ain't going to have no privacy at all. And one major reason why these higher level prisons have cell blocks instead of open dorm housing units is actually the next major difference between high and low level prisons. And that is lockdowns. Lockdowns are most certainly going to happen a lot more at these higher level institutions because, again, you're going to have guys there who have football numbers, multiple life sentences, never coming home, guys who have absolutely nothing to lose. And with that, gang activity is going to be a hell of a lot higher at these higher level prisons. Violence is going to be a hell of a lot higher at these higher level prisons, and lockdowns are gonna happen because of all of that. And being able to house prisoners inside of a cell in a cell block is a damn good way to be able to keep them locked down when crazy things are happening at those prisons. And with all of this, we're not just talking about being locked down for an hour, a couple of hours. These lockdowns can last weeks, if not months at a time, depending on what exactly transpired and how long the investigation takes to really find out exactly who was involved in what. Now, just because gang activity and violence is going to be a lot higher at these higher level prisons, and do not think for a second at these lower level prisons there ain't going to be any of that going on. Granted, there might be lesser of that stuff going on, but I can guarantee you it still definitely takes place, the violence and the gang activity at these lower level prisons as well. I mean, it's almost like just being and knowing that you're in prison makes you have to act a certain type of way. You have to go extra hard. You have to be willing to do anything at any given time. And I ain't talking about no crazy stuff. I'm talking mostly about doing some fighting. And you know, in some cases, it actually seems like guys try to go even harder because they're at these low-level prisons. And they ain't trying to be categorized as no level 1 prisoner. Hey, yo, man, what you talking about, man? I know I put in work, man. I'm gonna put in work for real, man. Don't get bodied at this prison, man. Don't you get bodied here. You ain't trying to get bodied. You ain't trying to see me for real. I ain't talking about you gonna body something, man. You at a level 1. You got 6 months left to serve. You ain't about to body nothing. Hey, you trying to do something for real? You okay? Okay, you really bad? Bang, bang, bang. Though violence and gang activity will still take place at these lower level prisons, I can promise you one thing. Everybody who's at these prisons, they've got a release date that's coming up within at least the next 10 years. And I can almost guarantee you that something like maybe 90% of those prisoners there, they ain't gonna be trying to body anything because they do have a release date that is coming up sometime within the next decade. And they're really not trying to add no extra time to that. But don't get me wrong, I only said 90%. There's still another 10% who are probably crazy and really just will do anything just for some bragging rights or because they're an absolute idiot. But you know, thinking about that, with only about 10% of prisoners you're going to be surrounded by who might really jump, your chances of survival at a lower level prison, they're pretty good. Whereas at a major, your chances of survival are most certainly not guaranteed at all. Cross the wrong one if you want to, and this could be something as small as bumping into a guy in the chow hall that could seriously have a detrimental effect. And while we're talking about all of this crazy prison life and death, let's go ahead and move on to another major difference between these majors and these lows, and that is going to be weapons. Throughout all of the time that I served at the low and medium level prisons that I did, I very rarely saw any type of prison weapon. But don't get me wrong. Just because I didn't see very many doesn't mean I didn't see any. In fact, I can remember one time in particular at a level 1 work center, I watched a laundryman chase a guy around the entire rec yard with a piece of metal this damn long over a t-shirt. Hey man, you're not gonna give me an extra t-shirt, man? I mean, come on, man, what kind of laundryman are you, institutionalized? Hey, where'd you get that piece of metal? Hey man, get him away from me! We at a level 1! Again, you gotta keep in mind that 10% of prisoners at these lower level prisons. But the point that I'm trying to make with all of this is you're definitely gonna have a lot more weapons at these higher level prisons. Because again, most of these guys there, they ain't got nothing to lose. Versus prisoners at these lower level prisons who have everything to lose. Most importantly, that damn release date. Now, this next major difference most certainly has to do with the guards who work at these prisons. You know, just because you're at a low-level place doesn't mean you're not going to be running into, like, the worst of the worst guards. But I can guarantee you, these worst type of guards you're going to be running into at these lower-level prisons are going to be nothing in comparison to most all of the guards at these higher level prisons. I mean, think about it. These guys have to deal with the craziest of the crazy every single day. Every single day, they most certainly and literally better be on guard. Not only for what's going on around them, but also potentially what could be brought to them. And it's at these higher level prisons where you're most certainly going to have a lot more assaults on staff. But again, like a lot of other things that I've already mentioned, Don't for a second get it twisted and think that assaults on staff aren't going to happen at level 1s and 2s. Though they won't happen as frequently, when they do happen, and believe me, I've seen them, you're going to be sitting there thinking to yourself, oh my God, that dude trying to fight the police right there, damn, where all these guards come? Where these guards, they falling out the sky? This dude is trying to fight a guard at a level 1. No, this guy part of that 10% prisoners I was just talking about. And just to throw this in here real quick now that I'm thinking about it, I've never seen any prisoner successfully beat a guard. Because even if you're about to beat that guy, maybe you're right on the verge of beating him. Let me tell you 3 things you're not going to beat at all. Number 1, the camera that's potentially going to be seeing everything that's going on right then. Number 2, the radio that is then going to call out that distress call and make them guards look like they are just dropping out of the sky. Where are all these guards coming? What, they got a helicopter? And number 3, the panic button that guards at a lot of prisons wear right there on their little guard belt. Panic! 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 Don't you ever have no guard press no panic button on you, because I can guarantee you it's not going to end well for you at all. Another major difference between highs and lows is rec. Rec time, recreation. Hey, rec call, back door's open. Who's going outside? I'm going. You ain't never seen more prisoners get more excited in your life. You would have thought they just called out their release date. You know what the next best thing to a release date is? Minus a visit, a conjugal visit, some real street food, a cell phone. There's probably a lot of things. But rec call most certainly has got to be somewhere on that list as well. Now, somewhat of a prison urban legend is at lower level prisons, you're going to get a lot more rec than at higher level institutions. And a good reason for that could potentially be because higher level prisons are going to spend a lot more time on lockdown. And this was what people were telling me when I was first getting to prison. Hey Joe, you a level 1? Hey man, they saved your life, man, because you go anywhere else, they going to take your junies for real. But at a level 1 prison, you going to get all the rec in the world. You lucky you going to that level 1 work camp. What you mean I wouldn't be no good nowhere else? I'd be alright. I could make it anywhere. Level 5, I would be okay. But a lot of prisoners were telling me while I was at that receiving/classification prison that because I was going to a level 1, I was going to get rec all day. And I was super pumped up about that, thinking, man, I'm going to spend all my time outside, I'm going to play sports, I'm going to work out, I'm going to come home looking like I'm, I don't know, a bodybuilder or something. But then I got to that level 1 and I quickly then realized that rec there was probably just as scarce as it was at a higher level prison. Now this may sound kind of crazy, but the reason for this was because these level 1s here in the state of Virginia are mostly like road camps and work centers. Meaning that when you get sent here, your ass is going to work. You're either going to be going outside of the fence in a van, what's called under the gun, cleaning up ditches, cleaning up roadways, doing all sorts of crazy labor. Or maybe you'll be working at a farm or something. But with the fact that these level 1 road camp work centers here in the state of Virginia were just that, meaning that all day, every day, prisoners like myself were going to work, we weren't getting no rec. We were lucky if we were getting wrecked like 3 times a week. And 2 of those 3 times were like Saturday and Sunday. I'm in prison at a level 1. All I'm trying to do is go work out, play volleyball, softball, soccer, basketball, do something. I ain't trying to be thinking about the fact I got like 5 years left to serve. So all of that right there is certainly a contributing factor to why I didn't last too long at that level 1. I, just like them other guys I was mentioning at the beginning of this video who ran their level back up after working their level down, I most certainly ran my level up. I wasn't about to do no 5 years working under a gun, cleaning up a ditch somewhere. But let me just throw in this one last point. When I did get to a level 2 prison, my God, it most certainly was rec all day long. Morning rec, afternoon rec, and after dinner rec. You got rec 3 times a day, almost every single day. And at these higher level prisons, there's a very good possibility you're not going to be getting that much rec. I want to throw in one final major difference between maximum and minimum security prisons. And what that is the actual security of these 2 different types of institutions. I've been to level 1 prisons where you can see right through the fence looking at roads or looking at the free world just right there. Only like 1, maybe 2 fences separating you from freedom. And you know, while I was at that level 1 prison and there was only one little bitty fence that separated me from freedom and I still had 5 years left to serve, I would be lying if I sat here and told you escape did not cross my mind like 1,500 times a day. Joe, there's only one fence right there. You're looking down into a ravine, there's a little river, there's a railroad track right there, and every single day you're looking at a train going past at about 2:15 in the afternoon. We could be out of here. Them 5 years could go away real quick, Joe. All we gotta do is jump that fence, get across that ravine and that little river, and get on that train 2:15. We could be gone, Joe. Joe, don't do it. You got 5 years left to serve, and I know it feels like forever. Jody's done taken away everything that you ever knew from the free world. And if you do this, you're guaranteed another 5-piece on top of that, and Jody's gonna wreak havoc on anything left in your life, which there's nothing. I don't know. The other Joe's got some pretty valid points about all of this. I'm telling you, let's do this right now. The fence is right there. It's only one fence, a river, a ravine, and some railroad tracks. We could be gone. You know what? I'm on board with this plan. After all, Joe, listen to your other half. Do it, Joe. Do it. It legitimately took everything in me to not actually go through with what I was thinking about so much. And you know, I'm even willing to go out on a limb a little bit here and say that the number of escapes from high levels versus low levels is probably higher at these lower level prisons. I'm just gonna go out on a limb. I don't know this for sure, but I've most certainly heard about a few escapes taking place, especially during the time that I served. And most of those escapes happened from lower level prisons. And I'm thinking a good reason for that is because it's a lot easier to do that from one of these one fence type prisons. But you know, the security at a higher level prison, you're not gonna be seeing nothing of the free world at all. You're gonna be behind walls and fences and walls and fences. You're gonna be behind probably something like 10 walls and fences. That's where your rec yard is gonna be at most of these majors. And then go ahead and throw into the mix that most of these maximum security prisons are out in the middle of nowhere. So even if you did get beyond those 10 walls and fences, where are you gonna go? I can guarantee you one thing, wherever you do try to go, it ain't gonna be easy. And I'm pretty sure that's probably why they make maximum security prisons exactly that way. You know, it actually makes a lot of sense to me now that I'm thinking about it. But yeah, some of the most major differences between your low-level prisons and your highs, right there. Hope you got something from this video. And I also hope that you never have to experience either of these two types of prisons. Hey, look, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did so, please leave a like and a comment letting me know exactly what you thought about it. As always, until next time, enjoy life, the free world, never take a moment for granted, and make the most of every day.